Hey everyone, it's Andrew Brown, and we're at the start of our journey asking the most important question first, which is, what is the AZ305? So the AZ305 is a certification or an exam to get the certification Microsoft Azure Solution Architect Expert. I use funny wording there because previously you had to take two separate exams, the 303 and the 304, and then that would get you the certification. But Microsoft has seen the light, and now we just have one exam for a certification. It looks like it's mostly like that now, but just understand in the future, they might change that. But yeah, the AZ305 more or less means Microsoft Azure Solutions Architect Expert. Going to get off screen here now. But yeah, it is an expert level certification, and it's focusing on comprehensive strategies for designing solutions on Azure. It has a deeper dive into advanced networking configurations. You don't see me doing this, but I'm doing quotations, air quotations here, sorry, air quotations for the word advanced, because it's not as in-depth as something like the AZ700 advanced networking. But yes, you do need to know your networking, your cloud networking very well for the certification. It has a broad examination of data and security solutions in Azure. The SC900 is a great recommendation for that, but we'll talk about that when we look at the roadmap here. And this has extensive hands-on knowledge. You should know how to do things in the Azure portal, ARM templates, and other resilient architectural tools. All Azure exams are very code and script driven, so having great developer experience is a must. Make sure you do things in the portal. Now, this one, the 305, is not as technically heavy like the 104 in terms of hands-on, but it still is a great challenge because of how broad the information is being covered in the 305. Who's the certification for? Well, consider the certification if you're looking to get an Azure Solutions Architect Expert role. You're designing solutions using Microsoft Azure. You're implementing and monitoring Azure infrastructure. You're creating and configuring resources for Azure applications. Enjoy crafting resilient and scalable cloud architectures. I want to warn you, this is a hard exam. It is very common to fail this exam, even if you practice a lot and you do your best job. It may just come down to the type of questions you get. So, you know, we do the best to give you practice exams and all the information here. Just understand when you get to expert level or professional level certifications, it's not you, it's just the questions, and you might have to try multiple times. So don't get discouraged if you take an exam and you're just like 1 point shy away. That is what it's like doing these professional or expert certifications. Let's take a look at our Azure roadmap. And I'm already noticing that this is a bit buggy. This is supposed to just say 305, but just, you know, ignore that one little bug there that says 305. But anyway, we have a bunch of Azure certifications, Microsoft certifications. This isn't the full list. In fact, there are some that I probably would even recommend en route there, but definitely before you go for expert, you should have your AZ900. Gives you a good broad view of all services. The AZ104 is generally what is or absolutely recommended on path to the 305. I would also pick up the 204 on the way. In fact, in this course, a lot of the content, not a lot of the content, but a good chunk of the content came from our 104 and our 204, and then we had to round it out with other things. So understand that these two are part of the course. If you've done the 104, 204, you're going to be in really good shape or well aligned for the 305, and then you can spend time trying to figure out case studies and things like that. I would probably also add the SC900 on here. That is a fundamental certification. The DP900 would be also a good one. I'm just kind of running out of space for all these things. That's why I don't have them all listed. Like here, you can see I have the networking one shoved down in here. But Azure just has a lot of certifications. Okay. But anyway, how long would it take to pass for studying? Well, if you're a beginner, don't do this exam. It is not a beginner certification. It would take you well over a month if you're a beginner. Start in the fundamentals, do the associates, and work your way up to it. If you're experienced, you already have that 204 and the 104, and you already have multiple years working experience, it might not take you that long to study. But, you know, on average, I think 50 hours is for somebody in the mid-tier area. We're looking at 50% lecture, 50% practice, or sorry, 50% lecture and labs, 50% practice exams. I actually probably would even bump this up a bit more. Try to get your hands on as many practice exams as you can. The huge challenge with Microsoft certifications is they have a rich type of exam questions, and not everyone can emulate those questions. So a lot of times you are needing to overstudy with simpler exam type questions in order to try to be able to tackle the harder exam. So just understand that that is something you have to consider. 30 days, absolutely, you need a whole month for this exam for studying. A recommended study 1 to 2 hours. Really max your time out so that you are in the best shape possible. What other things should we consider? Well, make sure you watch the video lecture content. Do the hands-on labs. Absolutely do all of them and do the best that you can. In fact, there are labs that we wanted to record, but they were so hard to do. And this course was already so long that we didn't even record them and put them in here. But we actually do have, I believe, additional labs with the instructions on our platform. So, max out as many labs as you can to make sure, or hands-on work, make sure you're in good shape. Absolutely do paid online practice exams. We have our own sets here. Just ignore these numbers here. I just did not feel like taking a new screenshot. Just the times are a little bit different here because you actually get 120 minutes and it's more around 60 questions. So 57 makes sense. But anyway, yeah, you definitely want to look into that. In terms of the actual exam guide outline, there are 4 domains, and each domain has its own weighting. This determines how many questions in a domain that will show up. Microsoft exams, they like to do a range of questions, which is not great for the test taker, but I guess it makes the exam harder. I don't personally like this. I don't like that they do ranges like this, but I guess they think that makes it, if it's more confusing, then therefore the exam must be more worth it for the end result. I don't know. So the first domain or section, whatever you want to call it, it's between 25 and 30% of the exam. So this design, identity, governance, monitoring solutions. The next one is 20 to 25% for design, data, storage solutions. The next one is 12 to 20%, so design, business continuity solutions. And then 30 to 35% to design, infrastructure solutions. Where are you going to take this exam? It's going to be with Pearson VUE. Previously, Microsoft, I think they offered it, I think it had PSI online before. Even AWS is doing the same thing. They're just doing Pearson. So Pearson and Pearson VUE. You can do it at an in-person test center or online from the convenience of your home, from your own home. So what we're talking about is Pearson VUE Online. This is the online product exam system. And then you have the Pearson VUE network of test centers. This is where you do it in person. The word proctor means a supervisor. So someone is going to monitor you during this exam. Sometimes when you go for your exam, they're like online, they will go and actually call and talk to you and ask you to show the room, and it can be very involved. So just understand that there is somebody watching while you take these exams. The grading for this one is 700 out of 1,000 points. So basically it's around 70%. I say around 70% because Azure uses scaled scoring. So technically it's not exactly 70%. It's 700 out of 1,000. I know that's confusing, but generally what you want to do is aim to go get 80%. I always think if you have a margin of 10% above that you're passing for practice exams, then you're giving yourself a buffer. You might even want to go higher and try to target 85%. And in the result, you will actually probably get 70%. In terms of the amount of questions, there's between 40 and 60. So you should be able to get 12 and 18 questions wrong. Though the thing is that when we say 12 to 18, that's not exactly true because you have to understand the format of the questions for Microsoft Azure exams, and they have a lot of different kinds of formatted questions. You got multiple choice, you got multiple answer, you got drag and drop, you got build, list, reorder, you have active screen, you got hot areas, you have case studies. You'll absolutely see case studies in this exam, and then questions can have exhibits, so it can get really complex. In terms of what you'll see will be different from other folks. You definitely will see multiple choice, multiple answer. You'll definitely see case studies, and some of these other ones might show up. Some questions are worth more than 1 point. There is no penalty for wrong questions, so do not leave any questions blank. Some questions cannot be skipped, and you have to fill them in. So yeah, there's a lot going on there. The duration is 2 hours. I could have swore that the 204 was 3 hours, but I looked it up and maybe they changed the time. But I really thought they would have given you more time for this exam. But yeah, it's just 2 hours, so it is still a stressor. You get 2 minutes per question, basically. So we're looking at an exam time of 120 minutes, but your seat time is 150 minutes. All we do is we add 30 minutes to make the seat time. The seat time refers to the amount that you should allocate for the exam. So this includes time to review instructions, show online proctor your workspace, read and accept the NDA, complete the exam, provide feedback at the end of the exam. The reason I include this here is just to remind you that when you are planning this, you have to plan for all of the time, not just the exam, but also the time around the exam. This exam is only valid for 12 months. This is something different. So Azure used to have 2 years, and then you'd have to pay every time. Now they're doing every 12 months, so every year you recertify. However, the recertification process supposedly isn't as hard because renewals are free. And I think you can even check in like 6 months into it if you want to do it sooner. But we'll take a look at that because again, those are new things to me, and I want to share those with you. But yeah, hopefully that gives you an idea of the exam guide itself. But we'll see you in the next one. Okay, ciao.